The Black Cat by Edgar Allan Poe. Welcome, dear listeners, to another journey into the dark corridors of classic Gothic literature. Today, we dive into the disturbed imagination of one of the most haunting voices in American literature, Edgar Allan Poe. Poe's works often circle around themes of madness, guilt, and the fragility of the human soul. Few stories capture this descent into darkness more vividly than The Black Cat. It is a tale of love turned into cruelty, of a man's gentle affection twisted by addiction and rage, and of a strange black cat that seems to carry with it the shadow of punishment and fate. As you listen, remember, Poe was a master of psychological horror. He was less concerned with ghosts and monsters, and more with the horrors that come from within the human mind itself. The Black Cat is not merely a story about an animal. It is the confession of a man whose soul is corrupted beyond repair. So, dim the lights, settle into your chair, and allow yourself to be carried into this unsettling confession of crime, conscience, and supernatural retribution. Story begins. Tomorrow I die, and today I would unburden my soul. My story is wild, incredible perhaps, yet I swear to you every word is truth. I am not mad, though many will say so. But listen closely, and you shall judge for yourself. From my early childhood, I was known for the gentleness of my heart. I was tender, affectionate, and full of compassion. I loved animals with a passion that bordered on obsession, and was never so happy as when feeding, caressing, or watching some creature of the earth. My wife, of a similar disposition, indulged me greatly. Soon, our house was filled with pets, birds, goldfish, a fine dog, rabbits, a small monkey, and, above all, a great, beautiful black cat. This cat was unusually large, and entirely black, with a sagacity that seemed almost human. He became my favorite companion. His name was Pluto. For years he followed me wherever I went, slept by my side, and responded to my caresses with a tenderness that bound my heart to him. But alas, the demon of intemperance crept into my life. I grew older, and with age came a disease of the soul, called alcoholism. Day by day, drink loosened my hold on reason. I became moody, irritable, violent. My tenderness of heart gave way to cruelty. I abused my wife with words and blows. My pets, once the objects of my love, now trembled at my approach. All, save Pluto. Faithful Pluto, who still clung to me with unchanging devotion. Yet even he, in my moments of fury, was not spared. One night, returning home intoxicated, I imagined the cat avoided my presence. In a fit of anger, I seized him roughly. Terrified, he inflicted a small wound upon my hand with his teeth. At once, a rage more than demonic entered me. In cold blood, I drew a penknife from my pocket, grasped the poor beast by the throat, and deliberately cut out one of his eyes. Even as I committed the deed, a shudder of horror passed through me. But that feeling soon gave way to the insidious whispers of alcohol. The cat recovered, though he bore forever the mark of my cruelty. For a time he fled in terror at my approach. This, at first, filled me with sorrow, but gradually, with irritation. And so, the spirit of perverseness, that spirit which whispers to our souls to do evil for evil's sake, seized me completely. One morning, with deliberate calmness, I slipped a noose around the cat's neck and hung him from the limb of a tree. My tears fell as I performed this wicked act, for I knew it was a sin against God and against nature itself. But still, I killed him. That very night, our house was consumed by fire. My wife and I barely escaped with our lives. The next day, when I returned to the ruins, a crowd had gathered. Upon the single standing wall, the plaster still moist from the fire, there appeared the figure of a gigantic cat, with a rope around its neck. The image froze my blood. Yet reason whispered that someone had thrown the carcass of the beast into my chamber window during the fire, and that the lime of the plaster, together with the flames, had produced the impression. Satisfied with this explanation, I dismissed my fears. But for months afterward, a strange gnawing at my heart remained. And then, one night, in a tavern, I noticed a cat, as large as Pluto, black as midnight, save for one patch of white upon its chest. It followed me home. My wife, delighted, welcomed the creature. At once, it displayed affection for me, rubbing itself against my legs and purring with familiarity. Gradually, however, I grew to hate this new companion. Day by day, its fondness became a burden. A sense of horror grew upon me. Especially when I discovered upon closer examination that this cat, too, had but one eye. Stranger still, the white patch upon its chest began to assume a shape, the vague outline of a gallows. Do you see the irony? The symbol of my guilt branded upon the very fur of the beast. My hatred deepened. I longed to destroy it. But a sense of dread restrained me. That dread was not mere superstition, but a dark and oppressive terror of the unknown. One day, descending into the cellar with my wife, the cat nearly tripped me on the stairs. In fury, I seized an axe and raised it high to strike the detested animal. My wife caught my arm. With rage greater than any demon's, I turned the weapon upon her. Without a word, she fell dead at my feet. I knew I must conceal the body. The cellar walls were thick and solid. With a crowbar I dislodged bricks, placed the corpse within, and carefully built the wall up again so no human eye could detect a sign of my crime. The cat, I thought, had fled the scene. Days passed. It did not appear. My heart swelled with triumph. The creature, I imagined, had vanished forever. The police came, suspicious, and searched the house. I led them with confidence from room to room. At last, descending into the cellar, I felt my triumph complete. The officers could detect nothing. In the intoxication of my pride, I tapped upon the very wall behind which reposed the corpse of my wife. Gentlemen, I said, this is a solid, excellently constructed house. But oh, what a sound answered me! A cry muffled, broken, yet of horror unearthly, issued from the wall. It rose swiftly into a long, loud, continuous shriek, such as no human throat could utter. The police recoiled. Quickly, they tore down the bricks. There, within, stood the corpse of my wife, and upon her head, his red mouth gaping wide, sat the black cat. The monster I had thought fled was entombed alive beside the body. Its cries had betrayed me. The guilt I thought concealed was revealed to the world. And thus ends the dreadful confession. The Black Cat remains one of Poe's most terrifying tales, not for its supernatural elements alone, but for its merciless portrayal of human depravity. The story forces us to confront unsettling truths, that cruelty can grow from within us, that addiction and anger can erode our very humanity, and that guilt, like a shadow, cannot be buried. The gallows-shaped mark upon the cat is more than coincidence, it is fate itself, the inescapable reminder of sin. And in the end, it is the very voice of the creature that delivers justice. Edgar Allan Poe, whose own life was marked by poverty, loss, and heavy drinking, poured into this tale the raw essence of his struggles. Through the Black Cat, he reminds us that the true horror is not in the supernatural, but in what lurks within the dark recesses of the human soul. So remember, dear listeners, beware the shadows you create, for they may return to claim you. Thank you for joining me in this descent into darkness. Until next time, keep your lights low, and your imagination open.